Hello, beautiful people. This is Kira, aka Words by Kira, and on today's episode, we have the amazing Corinne Bridgewater, and she's going to be discussing how she takes her finances very seriously, being debt-free, also being a recent homeowner. Shout out to my girl, and her amazing business, Be Speak Candle. So if you want to hear more, then stay tuned. Corinne, I love that you're on this channel. We've been friends for so many years, meeting in college, and I've always really looked up to how you handle your finances. And I know you take being debt-free really seriously. So what do you think inspired you to have this philosophy and take your finances so seriously?
To put a number on how long we've been friends? Girl, since 2009, yo.
I can't believe it. Time's flying.
I know, right? It's definitely flying. But about my finances and why I've taken it so seriously, I feel like everybody wants to do well for themselves. They want to, make money, get money.
Yes.
And so it's something I always wanted, but I didn't know how exactly to get there. I know buying a home has always been something I've wanted to do and, just different stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So when I graduated from Howard, I moved to New Orleans to teach, and half of my family is from that area anyway. And so I was staying with one of my cousins, and he was like, listen, I don't have any rules in my house. The only rule is that you have to read this book. And the book was Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Mm. It's a real simple read around just paying off your bills. And one of the things that he always says is making sacrifices essentially now so that later you can have the freedom to kind of do what you want. And I think our generation is all about, doing what we want, traveling where we want to do, having those experiences and stuff like that. But I think it's really important to know what we have to set up in order for those experiences continue way past our 20s into our 30s and 40s.
Absolutely. You're so right. I mean, we want to have a lot of fun, right? We want to go on our trips, travel, do all these amazing things, which is great. But we also want to have money for the future when we're old and we're tired and we don't want to work anymore. You know what I mean? We don't want to be so stressed.
I mean, yeah, what, you know what I'm saying? I feel like when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, which I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. But my dad was like, oh yeah, girl, getting that state job, get that pension, but in reality, pensions, they don't really work for us the same way they worked for the generations before us. Companies really invested in their employees in a way that, I'm hiring you and I'm expecting you to literally stay here for 30 years. And as a benefit, I'm going to pay you a certain portion of your salary every month until you die. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that that's economically feasible for companies now. And just with the way our economy is and just how our generation is in general, we hop from job to job to job. So those type of opportunities are not as much, and also too they're not as beneficial, and so I think our generation is the first time where we actually have to take our finances in our own hands, right? We can't do it on auto. We have to really look at stocks and investments and returns and real estate. And I'm not saying that I'm doing all those things right now. I'm still in the learning phase of trying to figure it out.
You doing great though.
Thanks, Boo.
Yes.
This little drippage girl.
No, you're fine. I didn't even see.
It's 7:00 in the morning here, so I had to hurry up. I was like, what am I going to do with my hair? Because my twist out was on its third day. So I was like, let me just get in the shower and just slick it up. But if you're a Black girl, you slick it up, you know that the drippage comes down. So got my Al Sharpton towel look.
Well, you are preaching, girl. I can't even do it. No, but you're so right. And I feel like there's just so many more adults now. There's a lot of people have to work longer because, we're living longer. It's just a whole different dynamic than back in the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're definitely living longer, which is a good thing, And so the question becomes how is my money going to last as long as I am? Okay. And because I want to be good.
I don't want to have to, okay, now I'm an adult. Now I'm elderly. So what? I got to cut back. I can't. I got to be living mad. Like, ooh, I can't do. I can't do that. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the end of 2019, you accomplished an incredible goal that really inspired me. You paid off all your student loan debt.
Yes.
Shout out to my girl.
Yes.
So Corinne, how did you do that? How did you pay off your debt?
There's not really much to it. And let me just say that, like, I paid it off in November of 2019, but this is something that I had been, like, going back and forth with for, like, a while. Like, ever since I read that book in 2013. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he talks about paying off all your debt. So, like, so that imagine that if your entire paycheck, like, came to you. Mm-hmm. That's a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? Oh. So I read the book and I was just like, oh yeah, you know, that's good. But at the time I wasn't ready for it. At the time I was really concerned about buying a house because I felt like that was how I was gonna, you know, build kind of my portfolio and just, you know, so I was like, the only thing I took from the book was like, oh, I need to buy a house. So I started saving all of this money to buy a house when I was in New Orleans. And I actually put an offer in and it got accepted on a condo in New Orleans. And because my cousin's a real estate agent down there. And then I wasn't really happy with my job. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to DC. Yeah. And at that time, I think I saved like a substantial amount of my student loans. And my cousin was like, oh, you know, like, you can, like, pay, you know, put this on your student loans. And I was like, I'm going to Puerto Rico. So I moved back to D.C. I was, like, house hopping, but, like, you would see me I was going to Puerto Rico for friends' birthdays. I was, you know, going to Barbados. I was going to all these places. And that was fine for the time, right? Because I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was still, like, coming off my college high and trying to figure that out because after you graduate from college, it's a little dark. It's a little dark for like a year or two, right? You realize, like, oh, the real world is, like, real.
Yeah, and, like, wow, adulthood is long.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, me paying off my student loans, that's, like, me going in between, like, taking vacations, switching jobs, switching states. But the biggest thing, I think, I paid off the most money when I moved back to California. So I was living in New York and I was working for a startup and I had gotten let go. So, like, I moved back home to California and I was like, damn, back home. Yeah. You know, and, like, I feel like there's some sense of failure in that, you know. But what it allowed me to do is it allowed me to stay with my mom and kind of open up this opportunity to put all the money that I had towards that. But even like I'm very stubborn. I'm a Taurus. So, like, when I moved back home, I didn't have a lot of student loans left. And so, like, I was like, ooh, let me buy a house. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. I was like, I can't be up in my mama's house too long. I was like, let me buy a house. And there was a special program at the time where they were giving $20,000 to first-time home buyers. And it was $20,000 first-time home buyers, but you had to find a home in like 60 days. And so I was rushing. We'll probably get into this when I buy a home, but to make a long story short, like, I was about to buy a home that literally had, like, holes in the pipe, right? And luckily, my grandfather, who has invested in real estate, you know, he was like, run. He was like, stop that shit and run out the front door. He was, you know, because you can have shit up your wall, excuse me, because there's busted hole pipes. But I was so concerned with the goal that I wasn't recognizing the signs around me. Mm-hmm. So after that happened and after I lost the grant, I was like, damn, like, you know what? Let me stop. Let me get back to basics. And all the money I had saved up, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on my loan and I'm just going to do one thing at a time. Like, I'm going to finish this goal off and then I'm going to save for my emergency fund, and then I'm going to get a house. And the beautiful thing about it is that I was able to get this house at the right time, but it was so much faster than what I thought. I thought I wasn't going to get a house realistically till like next year.
Mm.
So, you know.
I love that you decided to prioritize your goals, because I was very similar to you. It's like, oh, okay, I want to save money even though I still have my student loan debt, and oh, I want to invest. And it's like, maybe you need to start putting more energy towards one goal at a time, so it's not multiple goals halfway done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like in relationships. I feel like if you are out here with multiple people, not like, you know, I don't know, I guess not sexually, but just like if you're just out here dating a whole bunch of people, then it's like it's hard to focus on one person.
Yeah.
When you focus on one person, you get a lot more out of that relationship when you focus on one person versus if you're like trying to spread yourself between all these different people and, you know, what they like and their expectations and what the requirement is to be with them, you know.
Yeah, because just be spreading yourself too thin. I mean, if you guys want to do that, by all means, do you, pimping, you know? But I understand. It depends on what your goal is. If your
Exactly.
goal is to really connect and commit, then yeah, you should probably maybe take it one step at a time.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, and you go through different periods in your life, you know, like sometimes it's just like, I'm just out here, you know, I'm just trying to figure it out, don't know what it is. I need to taste all these different things to figure out what, you know, what it is for me. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, once you get into a space where it's like, okay, like, I know this is something I want to accomplish, then like lock in and like give yourself a month to like just focus on that. And then it'll like snowball into other things for sure.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to someone who is trying to be debt free? Like, do you have any steps that you think that they should take?
Yeah. They should like, they should figure out what they want, you know, like what's a big dream of yours. You know, there's certain things I feel like I wanted to accomplish before I started a life with somebody else and before I got married and stuff. And like I'm always thinking about like, who am I as a person? Who am I going to be to the person that I end up with, right? Like what type of emotional, right? Like different, like just like your baggage in general, I guess, like my emotional baggage, my financial baggage, because that is a whole bag, right? Like it's a big thing, you know? So one of my motivations was, you know, just trying to be like the best person I can be for whoever ends up being that lucky man. So, you know, that was kind of part of my motivation. So I would say for people to find your motivation, and then a really cool, like tangible activity you could do is like after you have that motivation or that one goal, like say your goal is like, I want to buy a car. Then take your last statement. So take like, we're in August right now. So take July's statement and start putting stuff in buckets, right? Like putting stuff in food, groceries, brunch, just do all those put those in those buckets and then ask yourself that question again, like, you know, do I really want to buy a car? Or do I, because sometimes your money tells you exactly what you value in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like it just tells you, right? Like I'm always trying to like lose weight and get in shape, you know, and I be like saying I want a certain type of body, but like my groceries, my food bill and what I spend my money on in regards to food says something else. And so I think people do that and they get down on themselves and like, oh, I didn't meet my goal. But it's like, maybe sometimes your goal is telling you something else, right? Like maybe it's saying like, you want that in the future, but that's not where you're at right now, right? Like that's just, you know, having the Ashanti body is not where it's at right now. So maybe there's other things you care about more, and maybe it's important to focus on those type of things. And it's kind of like really showing yourself of where you're at now versus like where you think you should be.
I actually did that activity. I looked at all my statements for 3 months, and I knew I was like, it's gonna be food. It's going to be food. It's going to be drinks with friends. It's going to be clothes, you know. And with the coronavirus, one benefit, I've been more still and saving more money, which has been such a blessing. I'm so grateful for that. And I've really slowed down on clothes. I've really, really slowed down. And I'm like, wow, that's not one of my number one goals right now, to just have like a lot of beautiful clothes. I mean, I'm always gonna love things like that, fashion, and it makes me feel good. But just like you said, I'm thinking about different things now. Also, I'm not seeing that many people anyway, besides on my little YouTube.
True.
But
Right.
but you're right. My goals have changed. Before it was more about, I want that new dress, I want those jeans, I want that. And now I'm thinking more like, all right, what's this condo looking like in the future for me?
And two, like what you said was really important. Like, right, like I want this new dress, I want these new shoes, and then you have to ask yourself like the question, like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's important to have the new dress and the new shoes, because when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you play good, you make good decisions. Like when you be feeling yourself, like you really have confidence. So like, don't want to take away from that, but like, I don't know, say if like you look at your statement and you see that you're getting drinks, you're going to happy hour, all the time, you're going to brunch all the time, and whatever. You have to ask yourself like, damn, do I really want to drink every day? Do I really want to brunch every weekend? Or is it like, oh, so-and-so's having a birthday party, so-and-so, and if I don't go, then that makes me look like this, or I'm afraid that if I don't commit to drinks with this person, then they're not going to understand. And you know what I'm saying? Then that comes a question of like what I do, who I'm doing it for, and why I'm doing it, right? And it's kind of like, oh shit, I'm actually realized that I'm doing a lot more for people than I am for myself. That's something personal I need to check, or kind of explore.
I love that you brought that up, Corinne. It's such a good point because you know me, girl. We live together. We've been friends for all these years. So I've suffered with people pleasing for a long time. It's gotten much better. And I think I definitely was one of those people. I mean, I love to spend time with my friends. That's a given. But I was definitely one of those people like, oh, I have to go to this party. Oh, they want to see me. I haven't seen them in a while. I don't want them to be upset. And da 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 da. And then I'm broke as a joke. And who do I have to blame? Me. And was it even that deep? I didn't have to force it. Like, did I really want to go? Or was I just trying not to hurt someone's feelings, or I'm afraid of the repercussions? Just like,
Yeah. Did your friends tell you were a bad friend when you didn't go? Because if they did, you need to drop them hoes. But
whoever's out there, if your friends are making you feel bad because you don't want to go to a brunch or a little dinner or this and that, nah, dog, that ain't hot.
Yeah. But are you thinking those things about yourself if you do not go? And those are two different things. I feel like we talk about this all the time. Of it's like, always ask yourself in a situation, who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
It solves a lot of problems.
It really, really does. I love you so much. Okay, so Corinne, you recently became a homeowner, girl. Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. Yes.
Right now, look at so cute.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. You already look so at home in your new place.
Yeah. I was like, look at this vase I bought. There's nothing in it. I don't know how to keep plants, but I bought it because it looks really cute on my table. So, and it was $13 from Crate and Barrel. So,
you said how much was it?
$13 from Crate and Barrel.
I love the color. It's beautiful.
Thanks, girl.
So what was the process like for you buying this place? What was it like?
So buying this place, well, let me just tell you that like real estate is something that I've grown to be really interested in. Mm-hmm. And so my whole home buying process has been a full, complete circle. And I will say that like after getting this home, first, I love this home. I love everything about it. It's a condo. And I chose a condo because I live in Sacramento. My family's close by. I'm young. I'm a woman. I want to be somewhere where I don't have to upkeep the, mowing the. I'm not going to mow the lawn. Yeah. I don't want to pay people to mow the lawn. It's California. Everything's like expensive. So a condo was right for me in the end. But that whole process was like a full circle. So when I first sat down and thought about my goals, I was like, yeah, I want a condo. I want it to be updated. I want it to have a garage. I want to be close to my grandparents and my parents. 1 bedroom is cool. And, that's where I started. And I actually wrote it all down. But after a while, somebody, people would be like, oh, you're buying a house. That's so good. Make sure you get 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms sell better. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. Got it. Being a type A personality, be like, okay, 2 bedrooms, Then I was like, people are like, oh, like, your home value is a lot more, with a house, So I'm like, okay, single family house. Got it. Single family house. And, then I was just like, ooh, I really like the idea of investment real estate, right? I want to make sure that my money is making my money because I'm reading all these books by these investors. I'm reading Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm reading, what's the other book I read? The Richest Man in Babylon. Like, just reading all of these books and this idea of having your money work for you. So I was like, I'm going to have my money work for me out the gate,
Okay.
So I started to look at investment properties, look at duplexes, and then so it became like, oh, the floor needs to be replaced, but I can do that. Oh, it's not exactly where I would want to live in the nicest neighborhood, but I could do that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an investment. What happened is that a lot of those places fell through. They were really difficult. I didn't have enough capital. And basically I was trying to step beyond my means and take a step too far. So it's funny when I saw this place, I'd finished paying off my student loans. I had just finished saving for my emergency fund, and I had started to begin to save for a down payment. And I saw this home one night because I'm obsessed with homes. So like I'm looking at Redfin and Zillow at like 3:00 in the morning. And it's like this cute little house right that popped up and was like, maybe like 10 minutes away from my mom's. So I'm like, oh, okay, I want to look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, the price. Okay, my monthly payment would be this. Okay, the rents in the area are this, which is really important. So like when you want to buy a home, like a big tip is to look at what similar houses are renting for. That would be similar to the house that you want to buy. It's just like a really good idea to make sure that you're making a strong investment. So, because you don't ever want to buy something and then your monthly payment on it is more than you would rent it out. Just not because like, because again, right, like if all hell broke loose and, you couldn't afford it anymore and you rented it out, you could be able to rent it out for like, at that same price, or you maybe have to pay maybe $100 or $200 in maintenance and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if you, buy a home and your mortgage payment is like $2,000, but the houses are only rented for $16,000, well, then if something happened, you would have to cover that $400. And then it's just important to think like an investor. So like an investor would never make that decision because you're not going to get the best return on your money. Like, why would I buy an investment property and have to pay $2,000 for the mortgage and I can only rent it out to somebody for $1,600? That means I'm losing $400. So just keeping that in mind when you're buying your home too, even though it's your primary residence. But it's just a good thing to check on. But yeah, anyway, so I checked on I was like, okay, the monthly, like, it's about $100 more, $200 more. I would be paying versus rent, but that's okay because I'd be in there for a while. So the rents would go up, whatever. So I went to go see it, and then they were accepting offers that day. So I submitted my offer. And again, because I had went through this whole circle and I had lost out on homes and lost out on grants, I knew a lot about, I was a lot more smart about the market in Sacramento. So I was able to I asked my realtor for the comps in the area. And so like, okay, like they're offering $260 for it. So I'm like, okay, they probably put this on here so that they could get more competition. What are the comps in the area? Because the comps are going to let you know. And by comps, I mean just other houses that have sold that are similar to yours in the area. Mm-hmm. And, oh, this one sold for this price. This one sold for this price. And so you feel comfortable making a higher offer because the comps in the area kind of support that. So I made a higher offer. I think I offered $271. Mm-hmm. And they accepted my offer. And, the whole process was a lot more calm. Like people always say like, oh, the home buying process is awful, da, 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 da. Like this wasn't that for me. Like there was points where it got stressful, at the home inspection, getting things to your lender on time, blah, 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 blah. But if you are smart enough to do the research and the work on your own, like it won't be hard. I don't want people to feel like owning a home is just like, oh, I don't want all that responsibility. Granted, I'm only like a week into my responsibility right now, but it's if you're on top of your personal things, like you'll be fine,
Mm-hmm.
So we closed. I got the keys, and I want to say that like I knew I was making the right decision when I felt calm and I was at peace. When they accepted my offer. Halfway through the process, the grant that I had lost out on, it came back. And not just come back like they had another one, but just like, my lender called me and said, hey, like, there's 5 grants left after a whole year, they still have 5 left. Make sure that you sign up for one as soon as possible when the online system opens. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to get that grant. So I added another $20,000 to my down payment, which put my mortgage payment to the same price, to a little bit under what the rent was in the area, because I was nervous at first because I was like, oh, I'm buying this home, but it's a little bit more than what the rents are in the area. Mm-hmm. But it put my payment down, and it's like every step of the way, like I found out that my HOA is really strong and they cover certain insurances, so it knocked my insurance bill down. The house got appraised for more than I bought it for, so it got appraised for like $275, and they accepted my offer at $271, which means, I'm walking in with equity, right, $4,000. But so it's just like these small little reminders that God is telling you, like, it's okay, girl, like, keep going. Keep going.
We like this path, yes.
Yes, but it should feel right. The opportunity should feel right. And to be honest, you won't know if it feels right most times until you get a lot of situations that don't feel right. So keep praying and praying that God just like knocks them out. Like I'm talking about like cash offers knocked me out, plumbing issues knocked me out, realtors, just just like just so much stuff just knocked me out that that I knew that like when everything was kind of rolling how it was rolling here, I was like, okay, this was supposed to be my little crib.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Corinne. It's really helpful because I think for people who are interested in it but don't know as much, like you're sharing different books that you've read. I'm going to put all those books in the description link below, and the equity and then comparing what the rent is with how much you buy it. You have us thinking like an investor, girl, and that's what we need to be doing. We want to build wealth and have options. You don't want to be pigeonholed. So
yeah.
Same vein of like building wealth, you are also an entrepreneur. You sell amazing candles that are intention based. And I know that some of the proceeds have been going to healthcare workers that are fighting against coronavirus, which I think is really impactful and important. So what made you want to start Bespeak Candle?
I wanted to start it based off of my own struggles with like always like being so goal oriented and so like type A and stuff like that, that there's not really a lot of space for you to like, I don't know, it could be like also like a negative thing, being so type A, like, right, everything has like a good and bad side. So I just feel like there was so much that I was trying to accomplish, and like I felt like time was creeping up on me. I felt like opportunities weren't exactly panning out how I wanted them to pan out, right? Like jobs and relationships or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, this clock is going. It's gonna be gone. But I really had to take a step back, and I still have to take steps back and like realize like who do I think I am? Why do I think I'm doing these things? Who created these timestamps in my life for me? Yeah. My professor in high school was this really cool guy, and he had us do an activity where we had to like timeline our life, right? So you literally just make a timeline, and you're supposed to put like when you think everything is gonna happen. And it's so funny too, like because when you're in like college, you're like, oh yeah, I'm about to be married, about to have my house, about to have my job by 25, and you're like, and when you reach 25, you're like,
life is like, girl, slow
you're like,
down.
okay. You're like, okay, maybe 30, and then as you approach 30, you're like, it's just gonna be what it is. It is what it is. So when he had us do this like timeline, he like pointed out to all the women in the class. He was like, y'all realize that y'all literally supposed to live y'all lives like in this like 7-year window.
And do mad stuff in that window.
Yes, be like this entrepreneur, businesswoman, blah, blah, blah. And so, so that type of stress that comes with like having such a tight timeline, there's not any space for women, specifically to Black women, to just to be by themselves and be like, it's okay that I messed up. Like, it's okay that I don't have these certain things in my life that I thought I was supposed to have. But like, with all of that said, like, what is one thing that I want to know about myself, right?
Yes.
What is one thing I want to be more aware of, good or bad? So that's kind of why I started Be Speak Candle, and why it resonated with me. And I also think too, there's something powerful in getting up every day, lighting your candle, and saying something that you want for yourself, what you want for the world, and doing it on a consistent basis, because it kind of shapes. It just kind of shapes kind of like where your direction is going in life. Because you think about like, I'm going to go off on a tangent, but we spend so much time on social media, and that's like a marketing tool. Like, people create social media so that you can buy things. I think the rule is like you see it like 3 or 4 times and then you want it or something like that. But you have that, like, you spend so much time there. You spend so much time at work. You spend so much time with your friends. Like, sometimes you just be on the phone with your friends, and you not listening to her, she not listening to you, but y'all still on the phone together. Yeah. In group chat, share memes, like all that type of stuff. But like, if you really thought about your life, like how much do you actually spend just like by yourself? Like, I think today I'm gonna get ice cream today. Or I think today I want to be aware of like everything good that happens for me, and I want to write them down. Like, we don't actually spend time to stop and do that,
Mm-hmm. And so, I think thank you for that. And I think, at least I'll speak for myself, growing up, I was very much focused on how others perceived me, external things, external validation. And I think that giving yourself that time, lighting a candle, like you said, and making an intention for the day, or doing something for yourself, it made me focus a lot more on me and what do I want and what do I really care about, not how people are judging me and how I measure up to others' standards, I think that's so important. And I totally hear what you're saying about a timeline, especially for Black women. And I remember being young, my mom always told me, she's like, this is your childhood and this is your adulthood, God willing. And that, I'm so grateful she told me that, because I think I've only really held myself to time constraints the majority of the way when it came to like romantic relationships, like, oh, I should have a boyfriend now, I should have my husband now, blah, blah, blah. And Lord, you blew those little goals out the window, which is fine. I'm grateful, because I probably wouldn't have gotten to this level of truly understanding myself if I was still so focused on others. You look at yourself and you're like, God, I see why you made me wait. Because, okay, what if I would have had a serious boyfriend or husband at 25? Would I have ever have done those moments for me? Probably not.
And like, I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. I mean, I personally can relate to this. Like, so when I moved back to California, I moved back in with my mom. And me and my mom, we both agree, like, we did not have the best relationship moving back when I moved back in. But through this whole process, I've gotten to see her as a woman and as an individual. And what's interesting is that because our generation, we're taking longer to kind of develop these relationships. versus like our parents who they may have gotten right into the relationship. Now we're at a point where we kind of meet. So like a lot of kind of the struggles or the things I'm thinking about, my mom's also thinking about, you know, because we're both kind of at a similar point of like trying to figure out the world as it relates to ourselves, you know. So I think a lot of people can relate to like, you know, parents being together and then not being together, or mothers raising their kids, raising you guys, and then like they leave and it's like, okay, I need to figure out who I am, and then like you're in this world and you're like, well, I'm trying to figure out who I am. And it's like, damn, you both here just trying to figure out who the hell we are.
Yeah, it's like, look at our friendship blossoming in the meantime.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I, you know, damn, that's actually a word to myself. So just kind of like be gentle with yourself as far as your timeline, because maybe you're just living your parents' timeline in reverse. You know?
Word, Corinne. No, that's real. And you know, for years, Peter and Veronica's love story, it's so beautiful, but it was so ingrained. I put it on such a pedestal. Shout out Mom and Dad. I love you guys.
College sweethearts.
And they love Corinne.
Hey, Veronica, I see you, cool.
You better watch it, Mom. I'm going to ask you later. You watched the newest video? What happened to it? No, just joking. But yeah, I was so obsessed with their love story, and I thought I was going to have it, man. I'm like, I'm going to have my own version of that. And God's like, yeah, your own version, completely different, your own way. And first, let's get this loving you straight so that you can accomplish what you have to do, like paying off your student loan debt or any other debt, or buying a home, or not even just material, but literally like really loving and accepting myself, flaws and all. How am I going to expect that from a partner if I can't give it to myself, you know?
Yeah, and how are you going to expect it from your kids and, you know, just everybody. And one of the things, like back to, I guess, like my why behind doing all this stuff is that, you know, when I decide to have kids, when I decide to get married, like I want those decisions to keep going. I want me and my husband to decide like, no, like you don't have to work. You're not going to work, you know, and you're going to take care, you know, raise our kids and make sure that they have a good footing before they go to preschool and all that type of stuff. But at the same time I do those things, I still want to be like, but we have money so I can have a trainer, so I can make sure that like my personal stuff is together. You know, like all that stuff that I feel like millennials, we fantasize about, we manifest, right? But it's like the financial part is doing the groundwork so that you can do it, right? Like when I was paying off my student loans, not to try to be like one of those people like, I didn't go out, I didn't do this, blah, blah, blah. But there was like different ways that I did it. Like, I remember one of my friends, shout out to Aisha, we went to the mall in New York and she came pick me up and she hears just like a little crumbling. She's like, so she looked in the back and she was like, what are you doing? Yeah, I had made my own bacon, egg, and cheese.
I love it, Corinne. I love it. And it was good too, because you could cook.
It was really good. But you know, that was just kind of like the mindset of like, I created a budget and I was just like, I'm creating a budget about like where I'm at in my life too. Like if you know that you go out to brunch every weekend and you drop $100, because everybody knows brunch is $45 for that eggs and bacon and toast, another $15 to $25 for bottomless mimosas. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, you hop to another bar after that to get a little drinks. And by the end of the day, you definitely easily have spent $100. Yep. So if you know you're doing that each week and it's like $400 or $500, you have to realize there's a habit there. And so don't expect you're going to just fix the habit by like doing the opposite and telling everybody like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Like that shit sucks. Mm-hmm. So cut it back.
Yeah, be realistic and don't put so much pressure. Something you taught me, Corinne, is if you take something away from yourself, you should give yourself something else that you like that's helpful. I think it was you that told me that.
Okay.
Tell me that, girl. Like
bar. Let me do that.
So that it's not just you're left with nothing, right? Like, so it's like if I go out to brunch a lot, right? And I'm spending all this money. It's like, okay, if I want to cut back maybe 2 weekends out of the month instead of the brunch, I don't know, I do Zumba. I do Zumba instead because I love Zumba or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just out here with nothing.
Yeah, y'all. Take that. I'm gonna take that. You know, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna figure out what I'm cutting back on, and also to like realize your goals. Like a lot of people will look at it, and personal finance is definitely personal to you. So like, if you know you're trying to get in shape and you're trying to figure out your budget, pay for that, you know, nutritionist trainer, you know what I'm saying? Because it's going to make you feel good and you're going to be able to stick more towards your goals. And so what's going to happen is like, okay, I'm paying for this nutritioner and trainer. They tell me I need to eat this and eat that. Okay, well then I can't go out like how I used to go out because I'm paying for this trainer and I'm not about to waste this $150 on, you know, a happy hour. So like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you use certain goals to empower you to do other goals, you know, and it's easier to tell people like, yeah, like I'm on this, got this nutritionist and, you know, she is not cheap. So, you know, sorry guys, I'll catch y'all next weekend or whatever, you know? One thing that I really did, broke tip, right, is I wanted to still experience festivals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would Google different festivals happening in New York City, and I would send an email and ask to volunteer, even if they didn't have volunteers listed on there. And funny enough, I actually got a job, like a real job, from sending an email asking to volunteer for a festival, and then they hired me for their company to like work with them. So you get creative.
Oh yeah, that's an excellent pro tip.
Mm-hmm.
Since knowing you, Corinne, you've always been someone in my eyes who, when you have a goal or an intention, you get it done. Or even if you don't get that done, it's like something better will come along for you. And I admire that a lot. So for people, like, I guess I want to ask, what do you think helps you achieve your goals? Like, what kind of mentality do you have that pushes you through? Deep question, but
that is a deep question.
Yeah.
I think I'm stubborn by nature. And so my goals are usually birthed in like somebody telling me I can't do something or me feeling like I can't do something. That's a great question. I think one of the things that keeps me going is just always thinking about what it feels like in the end, or like making a promise to yourself and not wanting to let yourself down.
I love that.
I don't want to let myself down. So, and also too, let me also say this too, what you're saying. I have a personal belief that like there hasn't been anything. I believe it because in my personal life, I do believe this. There hasn't been anything that has happened in my life that I have asked for that I have either not gotten it or I've gotten something better. I'm talking about with everything. I'm talking about with relationships. I'm talking about like with housing opportunities, job opportunities. If I say it, I know that I'll either get it or I'll get something better.
Yes.
And that's just been a fact. But like, I think behind that is the way you look at it. So I've had multiple jobs where I went into the job and I'm like, oh yeah, like this is, oh yeah, this is the job I wanted. Like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be so great. Everybody's so great, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't work out. Toxic environment a little bit, a lot of it, you know. And what happens, the next job is either better, or on top of that, I've actually had this a lot of times. I've had a lot of people come back to me and apologize for the way that they've treated me. Like, what? You know, and that was like, I remember an employer, one of my bosses called me and apologized to me for the way that he treated me. And that's big. You know, people don't have to do that type of stuff, but he felt mistreated by his boss. And so he was like, damn, you know, and so he was really reflective as a person and was like, have I done this to other people? And so that's when he called and apologized to me. And it just shows you that, like, it's okay. Like, I'm saying, like, God takes care of everything.
Yes.
Everything. And, like, that apology didn't come, like, a month after I stopped working there. No, that apology came, like, 4 years later.
Wow.
So, you know what I'm saying? So whenever anything happens to me, whenever I ask for anything, like, I know that in due time, it's going to be taken care of. God's going to take care of it,
Yes, that faith.
Yes, faith.
Faith and knowing what you deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't get distracted. You know what I'm saying? Don't settle for less. Whenever you're thinking, whenever you have the thought of, like, like, no, like, that's the wrong decision. That's the wrong decision. When you see a dude, you're like, even when you're about to go shopping and you want to buy a certain dress, right? And you can't find it, and you find, like, another dress that's similar, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So, is literally the sound of settle. It's the personification of settling.
Yeah. But there's, like, a balance there, right? Because it's like, at what point, because I feel like women, we do this a lot. Our generation is like, I ain't settling for nothing. I'm going to get everything I want, blah, blah, blah. And that's true, and you should, but I feel like there's also a balance with it. Don't accept scraps, but at the same time, like, recognize what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah. And don't idolize perfection. Don't
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't idolize, that's it.
Okay, Corinne, I have one last question for you. This conversation has been amazing. I knew it was going to just start going into all different things, and I love that we have energy whenever we talk. But I wanted to ask you, because you've had such an interesting life full of, like, joy and a lot of beautiful things. Currently, at this stage, what has been one of your favorite parts of your life journey? I know that's deep, too.
Yeah, that's hella deep. That's how it must have been one of the most, if I'm being sappy, definitely my repaired relationship with my mom. Like, we are, like, when I say that we, like, I called her, like, my first night I was here. I FaceTime her. I was like, okay, I'm about to go to bed. And I'm calling her. I'm like, oh, like, after this call, like, I'm going to, go to her house and help her put together her chair, and then we're gonna go grocery shopping at Costco together. And, like, this was, like, if y'all know, like, this was not how it was. But so that's been one of the biggest journeys, I think, so far, because one of the things I share with my mom, and something that I personally believed, was, like, for me to kind of get into this next step in my life, I really felt that, like, being a wife, being a mother, and just a woman in general, like, I needed that relationship for me personally, right? And I had the opportunity to, because some people's mamas out here just be wilding, and you just, like, don't need, like, it's just boundaries, right? But for me, it was just like, I know I need to fix this relationship with my mom, because I don't know, like, how am I going to be, like, a motherly person to my kids, and I'm not even cool with my mama, who ain't even did nothing to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's deep. So that's been one of my, I think one of my journeys that I've been fortunate for recently and stuff. And of course, like, just buying this house, just buying this house is, like, a little flex.
Yeah, a big flex. Right, girl, a big flex.
Yes. Yeah.
I love you so much, Corinne. Thank you for taking the time to be on the channel and talk. Guys, I'm going to leave all the links below. Be Speak Candle, the books that Corinne mentioned. Also, Everyday Dollar. That's a budgeting tool Corinne introduced me to. Put that in the link too.
And then, too, like, if you read any of those books and you want to text me about them, if you've like paid off your student loans, if you starting to pay off your student loans, if you just want encouragement, I like talking about money and this type of stuff. I like talking to my friends because I think it's like, I don't know, it's like really, really personal. I've actually, Kira, like thought about like getting together a group of women and doing like group therapy for your money or something like that. Like meeting individually with people and then having all the women come together to just talk about money and stuff. So if you're interested in that, I guess DM me, and once I get my life together, we could probably do that. But
yes, I'll put Corinne's Instagram there as well. I love that idea. Corinne's also not too long ago, Corinne, she actually did a video talking about budgeting, and it really helped me. And I think that's an excellent idea for you to get a group of women together and talk about financial health. That's dope.
Yeah, because we talk about a lot of other things, you know, and like let's just shift the narrative to like, you know, well, what's your goal you working on?
Mm-hmm.
We trying to buy a house? You read that? You watched the little stocks? You know, like what do you think the real estate market gonna do in 2020? You know, so just you know those type of things are it adds like another level of relationship to your friends and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, it's not fun if like you have all your money things together and then you looking at your friends and like we all going on vacation, but we secretly know that she over there and got her money right. He over there, and, you know what I'm saying? That's not fun. We all want to be able to pay for drinks, you know? We all want to put our credit card down and be like, nah, I got this, you know? Everybody wants that.
No, totally. Because I've been there. I've been that one. Dang, I can't go on a vacation, y'all. And it hurts. And I don't want to live like that no more. So I got to get myself together. Yeah.
Yeah, or at least, and two, like, when I say this for real, like, if you have goals, financial goals, or if there's things you want to clean up, like clean them up now.
Yeah.
Because we're all broke right now. Nobody's expecting a lot. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no kids if you don't have no kids. Or even if you have kids, like, you know what I'm saying? They little. They're not expecting a lot from you. Mm-hmm. They just want your time and attention, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely clear up your shit.
Mm-hmm. It's better now than later. Corinne, you have dropped so many gems in this video. Thank you, girl. And everyone who's watched, I hope you had fun hearing all these financial tips and really goal tips, period, in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.